bonjour, ça va? Yeah, so this is always a bit of an issue around St David's when you're driving. It's really, really good to bring bicycles. If you've got bikes, that's the way to get around St David's, really. Electric bikes even better, because then you haven't got to worry about the hills. It is quite a hilly area. There's not many flat bits in St David's. I think St David's itself is actually on a bit of a slope. So you can park at White Sands. You've got walks up Carnclighty. There's a couple of little beaches to the left and the right you can walk through and to walk to, and White Sands itself is right on the Pembrokeshire coast path. So you can walk from there. You can go right round to Solva. You can walk back to Haverfordwest if you wanted to. Round to Fishguard, you know, north, south. It's part of the Wales coast path, which I think is part of the Britain coast path. I'm pretty sure you can go right round Britain now, but it's certainly a Welsh coast path, and the Pembrokeshire section of it is about 140 miles long, I think. Now it's worth taking note of that right-hand turn there, and if you look ahead of you, you can see pretty much all of St David's. If you're staying at Flythe Meadow, oh, unusual to see the fire brigade out. If you're staying at Flythe Farm, that's down there on the left hand side, down that road about half a mile. That's probably the biggest and most sort of proper campsite with good toilet, showers, probably the closest to White Sands. There are some campsites which I forgot to point out that are kind of right on White Sands car park, and they tend to be they're quite sort. I think they're lower prices, but and they've just got basic toilet facilities. But Flythe Farm, you know, they've probably got heated toilets and showers. They're massive campsite. Really, really well stocked shop. Really nice campsite to stay on. Now on the right hand side here, there's one, at least you can just see, I don't know if you'll be able to see it on the film. Okay, there's a right hand side there, there's a footpath. And there's also another one further up. I don't know how overgrown it is, but those little footpaths do go back into St David's. So if you do want to walk, you can cut off parts of the road. There's like a little network, which I guess is going to be on the OS map. There are a few paths that cut through here and there. It makes the journey a little bit shorter, but it's not, you know, they're not great paths. They're not very well maintained. They're quite marshy, quite boggy. So it's just going to depend on the weather really, and what your level of walking is, walking ability. So we're coming back up from White Sands now. This is the main White Sands road. The left side here takes you to Porthgain Coast Road, along the coast road, and Trevine along the coast road. Flannery, and you know, you're probably not going to want to go to Flannery, and it's not very much there. But certainly Porthgain is the sloop inn, Trevine is the ship inn, really good places to visit. Perennial Garden and Cafe, 3 miles down the coast road, and also there's a really good garage on the left hand side just down there, which can help you fix your car or motorhome. A couple of really good mechanics in there. They're used to sort of tourists popping in and saying, you know, I've got this broken, that broken. They're normally pretty good. But it's very busy. On the left hand side there's another play area. There's a little skate park where the children can go. And this is the local rugby club. They have quite a few discos in the night times on the weekends. Loads of functions on, always food on during the week, summer holidays. Great place to go with the kids, run around. And then we're back on road into St David's. So left and right now, this is the Fishguard Road. This is the A487. So we came in on the West Road, and that went down round the cross square and then out, and you'd go down this way to Fishguard. Or you can turn right at the roundabout where we came in and come down past the Premier Inn, but then you miss St David's. So if you're in a lorry or something and you specifically want to miss St David's, when you come to the roundabout that we were at first and you turn right, it'll bring you down to the Premier Inn and you can go to Fishguard that way. So you've been on this road already. This is the road going round to CK's. Again, one way. There's CK Supermarket again. Playground on the left. CK Supermarket car park on the right. Local doctor, GP on the left hand side. And dentists behind the doctors, left hand side. So we're going back down to the high street. So we're going to turn right now. We're going to go back onto St David's High Street, back onto the cross square, but this time we're going to go left, and we're going to head down to St Justinian. So if you've got a boat trip booked, this is where they'll go from. If you want to go on the lifeboat, go and see the St David's Lifeboat, which is well worth a visit. This is also where you go. So we take a left-hand turn at the cross square. On the right-hand side now, coming out, you'll see the Farmer's Arms. And the Farmer's Arms is kind of the local pub. That's where most people go in the winter. That's a locals pub, but also open for tourism as well and meals. But that's probably the best bet for busyness, if you like a busy pub. Alright, so we follow the one-way system round. Okay, now if you go straight on here, that brings you to Porthclais Harbour. Alright, that's where you can launch your boat, and they have some canoeing adventures kind of trips down there. So that's Porthclais Harbour. We're going to go right. Alright, and this takes us down. You can just see the cathedral there, overshadowing everything. Alright, so this is the way this is the best place to come and park if you want to visit the cathedral. You walk down that entrance there opposite us, okay, and then you can walk down this way over this little bridge, and you can see the car park on the left hand side. Now this car park is a council car park, and it's significantly cheaper than the Pembrokeshire Coast National Park car park at RNLI Park, but it is patrolled, equally patrolled by the council. The council patrol that car park, and they patrol the Pembrokeshire Coast one. So just because it's a national park, they are patrolled. In fact, all of St David's is well patrolled. So you need to make sure wherever you stop, make sure it's designated, and also make sure that you pay, because they will book you. Alright, so we're following the signs now to St Justinian. Now it's very important, if you are on holiday here, that you keep this road from St David's to St Justinian clear. Because if you start blocking this road up and there's a lifeboat shout, the crew can't get down. And equally, if you're walking along here and you suddenly start to see some cars coming down at significant speed, there'll be a handful of them, so get out of the way. loads of history about St David's Lifeboat. It's a really dangerous part of the coast off of here. It's well worth going onto Google and looking into St David's Lifeboat, and when you're here, it's really worth coming down and visiting the boathouse. I guess if you go on to the internet and look up St David's Lifeboat, they'll probably give you some times when they're launching, or you can certainly come down and ask. There's always some crew around. There's always someone in the boathouse having a cup of tea or something. It's manned all day, I think. I think you're allowed to go and look at the lifeboat. You can find out all that kind of stuff at the Oriella Park, because that's kind of not only for the National Park Gallery, but also it's they call it kind of the Tourist Information Centre. And if you do come down to St David's on bicycle, this is a nice ride out here. If you are on your bike, there's a bridleway coming up on the right hand side just there, and if you take that bridleway you can go down to White Sands where we just came from. You can't actually cycle on the coast path itself. The whole coast path is walking only, footpath only. A bit of a shame, really. So they're a bit out of the way, a bit out of town, but there's a couple of nice campsites here. Ross-on Ganol and Ross-on Farm. So this whole area here is called Ross-on. Really well rated campsite and beautiful views. Really lovely views. So the hump you can see coming there is Ramsey Island. In front you can see the sea there. It's pretty rough. We'll drive down as far as we can. But during the daytime, at this time of year, I wouldn't recommend driving down here. It gets very busy. There's not much space to park. Yeah, but you can get regular buses down. There are buses from St David's that bring you down to St Justinians. You have a few a day there and back, or you can get a bus down, walk down, get a bus back, that kind of thing. Just a few spaces on the left hand side. There is a car park they opened up on the left hand side there, but it's only for St David's Lifeboat personnel. So don't look on Google Earth and think, oh, there's a car park there. These are the car parking spaces, alright? So it's not many. Now if you come on the bus, actually we'll go down a bit further, you should be able to see the lifeboat station there. So there you go. So footpath only from this point, and there's the lifeboat station just coming into view there. Just see the red roof. In fact, that's the old one, I think. There's a bigger one to the left. Anyway, we're going to turn around where the bus normally turns around. Incidentally, I'm driving around in a transit van, so you know, if you come down in your small camper van, or even a largest camper van really, you can probably do all these roads. There's nothing really you can't go down around St David's. You'll be okay in a camper van. And that's it. So that's why it's called Ross-on, because there's Ross-on. That's Ross-on there, the rock, and also there's an island called Ross-on, I think. Yeah, lovely views. Stuff. So I guess the facilities, oh yeah, the facilities are on the opposite side to the campsite. So worth considering if you've got children. So if you're staying in St David's itself, walking in the evening at this time of night out to St Justinians, have a rest there for half an hour and walk back in is I'd say it's probably quite a nice walk. Now if you're staying at which is quite a big caravan park and campsite. That's just on the left hand side there. It's one of the sort of major parks. That's got its own beach, access to its own beach called Portselly. But you know, I think they might have a bar, restaurant kind of shop there. I haven't been there for many years, so I don't really know. So there's the bridleway that goes down to White Sands. You can get a bike, you can take your mountain bikes down there. It can be quite muddy depending on what sort of winter it's been. I don't know if you can see the distance, but you can see the clock shining on St David's Cathedral. It's quite interesting. Just I'll fill you in on something, is that when you approach St David's from this angle and when you look at it from around the coast, it's got such a majestic cathedral, but when you look at St David's you can't actually see it, and that was purposely built like that. You could just see the tower there with the clock, shiny clock on it. That was purposely built like that, so that when you were out to sea by ship and you looked at St David's, you couldn't actually see the cathedral, because the cathedral, of course, would have been a very, very wealthy building with lots of wealth inside, being a main sort of. I think they say that pilgrimage to St David's is worth a pilgrimage to the Vatican or something. I'm not a religious man, so I don't really know, but it's a very, very important religious Church of England cathedral, a main cathedral. But there you go, so it's built down the dip so pirates can't see it and rob it. The Bishop's Palace is next to the cathedral. We can't go down there, you don't really drive down to it, it's more of a walk. I will show you the entrance when we go back up into St David's now. And I'll also show you another car park, which is a good car park to park for the cathedral. So a short while back in the video, when we left White Sands, we were coming up the hill, and I said to you that it's worth taking note of that road on the right hand side. Well, that road comes out here, so you can actually cut through here back to White Sands. It's a kind of a back way through St David's up to White Sands. Fire engine, cleaning the fire engines in the River Allen. Yep, this is the River Allen. If you look in the guidebooks, it says that everyone is called Allen is named after this river. I got a friend in Brazil who's called Allen. I don't think he was named after this river, but that's what they say. So we've got a steep incline. This is the only steep bit if you go to St David's Porthclais, St David's Porthclais, St David's to St Justinians, St David's to White Sands. This is the steep hill back up into St David's. Can be a bit of a tough one on the bike. Alright, Farmer's Arms again on the left hand side. Back up onto the cross square. Alright, we're going to go left, and I'm going to go left again down a small road called the Pebbles. This is a bit tight down here, but we'll you wouldn't want to come down here if you had a camper van bigger than a transporter or transit. Okay, so that's the bell tower. There's a little bit of parking here for the cathedral, but it's normally pretty stacked up. There's the cathedral itself. I'm going to turn around. You can actually drive down through the bell tower there and come out on those twin bridges where I said to you about the cathedral parking. Right, there's the cathedral itself. It's pretty impressive. If you come to St David's, you have to go to the cathedral. It's kind of part of it. It's the main reason why it's here, I guess, St David's, really. So there's a lot of history. It's an amazing cathedral. Really, really nice place to go and sit and have a picnic on the grass if it's dry. Alright, so this is called the Pebbles. We're going back up there. Unfortunately, there's a fat face there. Alright, and that's it. And that's kind of St David's, really. Lloyd's Bank is the only bank at St David's. Used to be 4, and there's the chip shop and the butcher's. Really, really nice chips in there. They're well worth the wait. Always a wait because it's freshly cooked. And that's it. Back up the high street. There you go, we're back where we started. If you're coming in for a holiday, have a fantastic holiday.